Yes.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming. This should be a good meeting tonight. Got a dignitary here, we got to get acquainted, and I'm just waiting for the agenda to come up so we can get moving.
Okay, so the first one is welcome guests. We
All
have one
right.
guest. Oh, roll call, sorry.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's do the roll call. We'll go around. Maybe Rick, you'll start, and then we'll come back, and then we'll go up to the folks that are calling it.
Rick Heinz, member.
Pat Fitzgerald, member. Nathaniel Sierra, mayor.
Michael Chisholm, member.
Are you sure?
Thank you, Melissa.
Well, England staff liaison present.
Shelley Warren, member.
Christine Brinker, member. And then the folks online.
Hello, members outside. Let's see.
Tracy.
Tracy Sabina, member.
Okay, and then we have,
Matthew as member.
is Matthew's up there? Okay.
Yeah. Matthew Schultz, member.
Are you there, Matthew?
Yeah, he said yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll bring the meeting to order. Again, thank you everybody for showing up. First item, sorry.
And then welcome guests, so Dan is on the line.
We need to welcome the guests, and we've got
Dan.
Danna, thank you for showing up. And we've got Tracy as a guest. So thank you, folks. Appreciate your input.
Tracy's a member. It just says guest, but she's a member.
Okay, so Danna's the only.
Dan is the only one.
You're it, Danna. You're our guest. Thank you. Okay. Let's approve the minutes. Any thoughts, corrections, additions to last meeting minutes? And if not, I would entertain a motion to approve. Is that a head nod from Patrick?
Oh, yeah, motion to approve.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay.
Do we have a second after Patrick?
Oh, we needed a second after Patrick? I'm sorry.
So it's moved by Patrick and then a second.
All right, do we get a second from somebody on that?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay. And get into the meat of it here. So let's introduce ourselves to Mayor Sierra, and maybe he can introduce himself to us. So why don't we start with the folks out in Cyberland and start a brief introduction, you know, why you're on sustainability or what was your motivation, and then we'll put it down and go with Rick, and we'll go around the table this way. So Matthew or
Matthew or Kara or Tracy, right?
maybe Matthew signed off.
And
Okay,
if you
well,
want to
let's
say
start
your
with
name,
Rick. Go.
if you want to say your name, neighborhood, and why you wanted to join the commission.
You there, Matthew?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Matthew Schultz. I am in District 4, and I have always cared about sustainability, but am in a region that is impacted by climate change in the city and infrastructure. And so that was the main motivation for wanting to join.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Great.
I can go. My name is Kara Frangipani. I am in District 1, I believe. And yeah, I wanted to join sustainability. It's all the things I'm passionate about. So.
Thank you, Kara.
Hello, this is Tracy. I am in the Hawthorne neighborhood, and I recently resigned from teaching and have more time to just dive into getting more involved in the community, and sustainability was definitely top of my list with the business I'm starting, and it encapsulates everything that I want to do.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Now? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Rick Heinz. I'm in District 4. I think that the city is needing to frame pretty much any decision they're making right now based upon sustainability. I think that there's a lot that needs to be, it's colored by the view of of where we're going, and not just the 2-year view, but the 5-year and the 10-year view. And I'm proud to be a part of this committee because I think we help give them direction on what is important. And I'd like to, continue being a part of that.
Thank you, Rick.
Pat Fitzgerald, from District 2. I'm up at the hospital. I'm a new Englewood resident, and I've always been a fan of civic engagement. So I was looking to join something once I moved here, and my job and all my schooling has been centered around sustainability and decarbonization. So it seemed like the ideal committee for me.
Very good. Thank you, man.
Michael Chisholm, and I have been interested in sustainability for years. Initially coming on board, I was primarily concerned with global warming and the destruction of the planet. Those concerns are greater today than they were a few years ago. So ultimately, I'm concerned about posterity and trying to maybe leave the world a little better shape than we found it.
I'm Shelley Orrin. I live in District 3, and I wanted to join because I really care about the environment and I wanted to get more involved in the community.
Cool. Thank you.
I'm Christine Brinker. I'm in District 1, and along similar themes, I want to help our city and our community to be safe and healthy and clean and vibrant. And I'm also very concerned about climate change and increasingly motivated by wanting to make sure our streets are safe and walkable and bikeable.
Thank you. And Mr. Mayor, we'll turn it over to you, but again,
Sure.
Thank you very much for
No.
volunteering to work with our committee.
No, thank you very much. I've been wanting to be a part of this committee since it was formed a couple years back. So no, thank you very much for welcoming me. Some of you may know this story, but I originally got engaged with, the community with the formation of a neighborhood group was called CASE. That group was formed a little bit after Trump took us out of the Paris Accords back in 2016, late 2016 or so. So I've been very engaged from that point forward. I originally ran for city council back in 2018 to get the biogas project approved at the wastewater treatment plant. Didn't think I was going to win, but I actually did win. And so I'm here now, 5.5 years later, now as mayor, which is kind of a shock to me. But yeah, so a lot of it is just the fact that I have an 11-year-old son, want to do what's best for the environment, and I got involved in government for it. So I thought having one vote at the table was better than just speaking from a bar. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Where's the next?
So this is the standing.
Okay, and you're gonna run us through an update here, or?
So this, at the last meeting, you all said that you wanted a standing space if anyone wanted to give updates on community projects. I know the communication subcommittee works on stuff, and other people have kind of passion projects that they've brought to the table. So you all just asked for this space if anyone wanted to use it.
And Cara, last meeting, I think we got a briefing on some of the activities that you and Logan were working on. Would you like to reiterate or add anything to what we heard last month?
I don't think I couldn't be at the meeting last month, so I'm not sure what was updated. Logan, I might turn it over to you.
So Logan actually isn't able to join us tonight, but that's totally fine. This space doesn't have to be filled. It can just be passed to you.
Okay. I know there was we got Faith approved for, was it the spring magazine? Is that right, Mel?
Yes.
So I think the articles were finalized, and I mean, in total, all things covering sustainability, you said was roughly around 4 pages. Is that correct?
No, so it's 2 pages, but it's not all sustainability commission. It's just like sustainability related things. So like South Platte Renew has something in there. I think RAC, the Regional Air Quality Council, submitted something as well. So it's just a lot of sustainability related topics. And the next one, which is nice.
Yeah, so that'll be really exciting to see. I mean, outside of that, I don't have a whole lot to cover. I don't know, Tracy, if you've got things that you bring to the group. I don't know, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I just a quick update on the farmette program, because I know that was brought up in the last meeting as maybe something the Sustainability Commission wanted to maybe just jointly apply for. But I did get an email this past week from the woman that's in charge of it, and it was sent out just to a handful of people because they only have 15 applications. But I did send her an email back inquiring whether that's something that we could do. As long as we had space, I think it requires 200 square feet, which I'm sure we could find somewhere in the city of Inglewood to turn into garden space. But I haven't heard back from her, so I can let you know once I do whether that's something that, if that's something we want to do as a commission.
Tracy, I can kind of give a follow-up. I was going to wait for this for later, but it kind of fits now. So I reached out to our Parks Department and asked about the space for this program, and they said that they don't really have space currently for it. However, if a bond passes, there's currently a community garden proposed at Clarkson Park that may be an opportunity to discuss kind of further. But it looks like currently there wouldn't be any kind of city space for that program.
Okay. I know, I thought there was somebody that mentioned that there was some property that wasn't being used. So if we do find land, I can certainly let her know.
Thanks, Tracy. I was the guy who raised the question about orphan lots. My buddy Bob Stevenson told me that when he worked at Englewood, there were some identifiable lots that were sort of out of the way and unused. Could we verify, are there orphan lots in Englewood? And if so, where are they? And if there aren't any, we'll quit asking about it.
Yeah, so I asked our senior planner on this too about like what to do with like the beautification and everything of kind of abandoned lots. And he had a few questions of those like, is this private, is this public? Because there's a lot that goes into that. So I guess it would be kind of identifying that space and then
these would be public lots owned by Englewood
that are currently
and I could follow up with my source and maybe get some ideas. Now, again, if it's ancient history and it's not relevant anymore, that's good to know too. So yes. I would like to find out if such locations exist.
I think I have an email around this, so let me dig while you guys keep going.
Well, Michael, I guess one of your neighbors just recently was able to get that corner of Cherokee and Floyd.
That was an orphan lot.
Yeah, that's an orphan lot, and I'm wondering if she has whoever she spoke to in the city may be the person that we should be speaking to about the orphan lots, right? Because that person probably has the inventory.
It was community development.
Yeah,
on that.
It should be.
And but yeah, I mean, if that's the only one, but if there's one or two more, the idea was to do some type of maybe program with the high school or garden plot, grow something, clean something up.
Because I'm thinking the areas around Hampton and Broadway.
Right.
Those corners are orphan lots in a sense, but.
Yeah. So what, should I or Mel contact community development or what?
Yeah, and I could put in a word too.
Yeah, I can reach out to community development and Madeline, because she was the one that oversaw the neighborhood resource grants. And that was one of the ones that went through. So she would definitely.
And again, if I'm wrong, but Alfonso's right. I accidentally found one in my neighborhood. And so, and the city was great. They cleaned it up. And it's a much better corner than it used to be. I just wonder if there's any more just like it. Okay. Thank you, Tracy and Cara.
Oh, I see
Hey,
Matthew.
real-
Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, real quick on that. So I know the Colorado's Finest High School up in District 4, they have an area that used to be a community garden, and it's not been maintained for a couple years. So I don't know if there might be an appetite for a group to help get that program up and running for the school again. And then the other thing too is I'm not sure what the time frame is to commit to this, but some of the projects we talked about last week, enclosing the city ditch, if there's a possibility for something on top of the city ditch, or the new water detention area down off of down by the railroads and down by Santa Fe. I know that's going to be grass eventually, and they're just starting that project, but that could be a future thing too, perhaps, that we explore putting something like this there.
Thank you.
Does this require irrigation? Would this imply that we'd have to have some water source nearby with, or is it?
No, I mean,
I wasn't here
I
last
mean,
month.
it's a curiosity question right now.
Okay.
Is orphan lot a reality or a myth? I guess
Right.
is the first question. And the thinking was, if there were such, then we could just look at them and say, what could possibly be done?
Okay.
So it's very preliminary. Step one, is it real or not?
Got it.
And I think that would be a big step, just to say, because I loved some of Tracy's ideas last month about working with schools, high school kids and stuff, getting their hands dirty or whatever it might be. So it's very preliminary, but let's try to take that first step anyways. Okay.
Tracy, Matthew, I don't know if you both mean to have your hands up or not.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask real quick. I'll send you the information, Mel, on this that I received because the applications are due by January 22nd. But does it have to be an orphan lot, or can it be turf replacement?
Are you talking about the farmette program you're talking about?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with their farmette program. You said they're through Denver?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that, but I can definitely look into it. I'm assuming, I wish Tiana was here because she is like the farmette queen, I feel like, but she might know as well.
Okay, yeah, and I have the handout, and I'll just send it to you so you can see what that entails. I did apply for it, so hopefully I can at least turn part of my property into it.
Oh, cool.
You'd have the lawn replacement and that. Your front yard will be beautiful.
Hopefully.
Okay. Any other thoughts or follow-up on that agenda item? So we have a little homework to do, I guess, is the next step, just to inquire. The next item is recommendations on the sustainability plan. Mel had to remind me that this is sort of a scheduled thing where we give feedback to City Council relating ideas, edits, comments on the sustainability plan. Mel sent out information for us to review. Does anybody have any thoughts on the sustainability plan? Anything need more emphasis, less emphasis, ideas?
And I guess as just a little background too, for those of you who have been on the commission for a while, this should be familiar because we did this in the years past. And if the commission doesn't have recommendations to City Council, that's totally fine. You don't have to do one. It's just a space for you all if you have any kind of like these high level changes or recommendations you see in the sustainability plan.
I have one.
It's your meeting. You take it away, Mike.
I did my homework, and I know I'm a broken record, so you guys are just going to have to bear
I
with me.
apologize.
But I read through the sustainability goals and the information, strategic plan reporting, et cetera. And I went through and just highlighted a couple areas. Under natural environment, reduce the use of pesticides in parks and open spaces. And
That's our goal right now, just reduce?
yes.
Okay.
Then under water protection, I highlighted include water sustainability efforts and initiatives as part of the park's master plan. And then under projects in development, consider xeriscaping in the public right of way. So let me just blurt out my thought and agree, disagree, whatever. But I'm Mr. Biochar, and I got thinking about this and I thought, could we recommend or could the city entertain the possibility of a pilot project where they could evaluate the impact of biochar and soil enrichment? Could they do a pilot program to evaluate biochar's impact on water usage? Allegedly, it will reduce water usage. Fertilizer application rates, allegedly, you don't have to use as much fertilizer. And pesticide application rates, et cetera. When we say xeriscaping, that's okay, but we also can talk about pollinator gardens. So I looked at all of that together, and I would love to request or challenge parks or somebody in Englewood to say, could we experiment? Could we do something with it? Adrian has been great, and we did a mini experiment in front of the rec center. And the subjective evaluation on it was that, gee, it looked like the side with biochar had more profuse vegetation. That's very unscientific. I would like something a little more scientific. And I don't know if we're allowed to ask for that, or we recommend that the city consider that, or we ask parks to come up with an idea. But I would just like to see if we could experiment a little bit more with biochar.
Yeah, you guys can recommend anything that you all want. That's the beauty of being sustainability commission members.
Okay. Don't have to listen to us, but we can recommend. What's the group think? Is it like, okay, Michael, take a break? We've heard enough. Or is it something worth suggesting and pursuing? Can we do something? Go ahead, sir.
Did we get it, did you hear anything back from Adrian regarding his view on the success or lack of success?
I have that. This is also part of my follow-up, so I feel like we're just gonna go through all of them early. So I had originally reached out to him because Mike had asked if we took pictures, which is totally my fault, but parks also do take pictures. Oh, you do? Oh, beautiful. Thank you for saving my skin. But he also said that they noticed a noticeable difference and improvement with the side that did have the biochar on it. So he said he'd be more than happy to utilize it in the volunteer flower beds in 2024. And he said either you or I can reach out to him about that. I was going to leave that in your court because I know you're the biochar king over here.
One other thing, Evan Anderson, when I met him and started talking about biochar, he said, I know, he's very familiar with it. And I had a couple extra bags. And I took them over to Evan in his department. And he said he was going to put them in some flower beds or when they're planting trees. So again, no measurement, no evaluation, but there was some more biochar put somewhere in Englewood to help trees and flower beds. I'd like to take it up a notch just to say, could we actually measure it? And could we prove or disprove all this stuff Mike was talking about? And again, xeriscaping is fine, and biochar does not conflict with pollinator gardens either. So could we get our heads together and try to kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone, I guess is what I'm wondering. It's just a guess and a request, but I would hope there's enough curiosity out there. There's no harm in trying. I mean, it's not expensive to play with biochar, so it's not a major financial commitment on anybody's part.
I guess my 2 cents on it, but the use of biochar would not be like a policy decision from council, but if we're ultimately, it would be the steps that we're taking in order to become more sustainable within the city. So this ultimately may not be a council decision. This may just be up to parks.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, if Parks said, well, we'll just keep experimenting with it, okay, that's fine too. But I'd like somewhere a report to say, it was a dud, nothing happened, or, well, we had a piece of dirt that absolutely was infertile, and now we have things growing there. So, yeah, I would think Adrian and company might even come up with some ideas if council said, why don't you look into it? Yeah. So that's really the extent of my recommendation, but it's intriguing. And there's another half. The city had to clean out a section in front of the rec center, so there has to be something that goes in there. It's not an orphan lot, but it's city property. Do we put the same old flower garden in like was in there last year, or do we move towards xeriscaping, perennials, pollinator garden type of thing? So that, again, I could talk to Adrian and say, what do you want to do with it? But at this stage, it's feedback on sustainability. Would the group be comfortable making such a recommendation?
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
On board.
Do I hear a motion to make such? And I would trust Mel to help craft it, wordsmith it.
I think you guys also, for time's sake, I think what you guys can do is talk about all your recommendations and then kind of motion at the end so you don't vote for each individual one. That might take a while.
Good point. Okay.
And then if you do want to make any changes, you can do that then.
Everybody get that? I didn't mean to steal the show here. There could be other recommendations.
I mean, you all can vote for every individual one, but we might be here a while. I see Tracy's hand is up too.
Okay. Tracy?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in, Mike, because I love that you brought this up because I highlighted the same thing. I've just been noticing, I live by Bates Logan Park, and obviously the enhancement to the infrastructure there and the new restrooms and stuff like that. But I would love to see an enhancement to more native plant gardening, because if you think about what we're about and trying to educate our city about sustainability, this is a great way to put it in the public eye. The parks are used, and I know, I mean, Danna's on here and she created that native plant by the depot park. This should be in every park, quite honestly. So I just feel like that's a great way to, you have signs up, it can help educate. The more people see this, the more it gets them thinking about their own property and what they can do there.
Tracy, I hope you don't mind if I just jump in real quick. Since you live at Bates Logan, and many of you guys are probably familiar with the annuals that we plan every year at all the parks, and we're spending, I think our line item for that is about $40,000 or $50,000 per year.
I know.
And there's been a push by certain council members that we want to move to a perennial,
great,
or native, just more native plants. Mm-hmm. It just, again, because it's not necessarily, well, I guess we hold the budget and we can push back on it more fiercely in the future, but I think hearing from sustainability that they want to go in this direction may light a little fire under parks to get that done.
Great. And one thing that came up recently, parks, I think, accidentally gave too much of a haircut to the pollinator garden. I don't understand all the details, but apparently parks got a little bit carried away and trimmed too much of the pollinator garden. Educational opportunity is a perfect example of we need to understand what a pollinator garden is. We need to understand how to trim it. We need to understand how to maintain it. So that would fall in line with what sustainability could do as well, is have maybe some structured community education on what we're up to, why we're doing it, how it works. So again, that would tie into it in terms of our mission, in terms of connecting with the community.
I just want to make sure I have your recommendation right. So increase structured education around
maintaining pollinator gardens. So the good news is once they're growing, you don't have to fertilize them and water them, but you do have to clean them up. And I think the lesson learned is you clean up in the spring, not in the fall. It sounds simple, but it makes a difference. So, and also parks could use some education too. I mean, it's not an insult, but this is a whole different kind of plant life. So I mean, code enforcement went through the same question. Are we up to speed on what's a weed versus what's a pollinator? And I think the answer is we're trying to do our best, but that's not to say they couldn't benefit from some education and some reinforcement. So a lot of this stuff could tie together. And then if Tracy can get a high school involved in this, we'd have one heck of a program going on here. Any other thoughts or recommendations? Rick?
I have a question, and perhaps, Mr. Mayor, you could help address this. We have bullet point 4, economic resilience. This seems to be something which is not touching any other aspect of sustainability. It's about businesses. How does that factor into the sort of overall sustainability mandate in the city? If we are talking about what they say is a local economy that can foresee, withstand, adapt to, and recover from adversity, how does that jibe with sustainability?
Can I ask one question on that one? I don't know, are you looking at the older sustainability plan?
Is that under the older system? I pulled up the one that's under the city right now.
Oh, so that is the older one. So the one I sent in the email is the most up-to-date one.
Okay.
And I can pull it up right now.
Okay.
Under economic resilience, we have something added there because we recognize that too, that it was just very much lacking in projects. And from the last update that we had in April, projects were added in there, such as creating a green business program, which just last night City Council approved a budget enhancement for us to get a part-timer to actually launch that program. And so that's how you see kind of the connection of the business community and sustainability, because they very much go hand in hand. Yeah, you can do like energy efficiency.
Oh, that's fine. I just,
Yeah.
it seemed to hang out there.
Yeah, the old one it definitely was kind of the black sheep of the projects because it had none in there.
Okay, well, I'll pull back on that. I have one other question, and again, I think I'm going to address this to you, Mr. Mayor. When these sustainability goals are set, it seems as though there are vague outcomes all the way through here. Just you look at the wording that they're using on this, there doesn't seem to be any sort of benchmarks. You know, we're going to hit 5% here, 10% here. Most of these are review, evaluate, you know, those kinds of things. Is that intentional on the part, or is it just that we didn't have a firm handle on things when these were made, or what's going on there?
I think it's a mix of the two. So when we're looking at the strategic objectives, they should be a little bit broad, but the actual metrics or the tasks that are associated with them should be very specific. Okay. And I have already had that conversation with the city manager that there has to be a little bit more meat to let us know whether or not we are progressing towards a specific goal. So I have made that comment.
Okay.
That there needs to be a little bit more data-driven results towards some of these goals that we're trying to achieve.
Is that the city that's going to review that then and come up with some of that, or how does that proceed from here?
Good question. I think that there should be a combination of it being generated from staff based on a specific baseline that we already know, but some should be coming from staff and shared with possibly sustainability and some other boards and commissions. But also some from council and such. But yeah, I think it should start with city staff, but there should be direction given by the boards and commissions and city council.
Okay, thank you.
I had a similar observation in that some of them were quite vague. Some key projects, you either do them or you don't. So it's like, we did it, so it's done. Okay, you don't really need a measure for that. Other things, it says, how will we know if we're on track to succeed? And it says percent reduction, but it doesn't say
What the percent is.
reduction.
Yeah, exactly.
So we did 0.00001, like someone refused a straw. Okay, we met our goal. So some numbers there would be helpful, but also thinking through, what is a key project versus what is a metric? Because right now they're all kind of shuffled around in there. And I would want to make sure that, how we know if we're succeeding, if each one of those at least relates to one of the key projects, because sometimes there'll be a key project and then there'll be a how do we know if we're succeeding that's totally different. But some of them are good, like it says the develop a plan for tree canopy, and then in the how do we know if we're succeeding, it says a score of 75 in the tree equity analyzer. So I think that's like a good example. Here's what we want to do. Here's how we know if it's working. This.
Another way of stating it too is metric steps. So we have this concept of we care about the tree canopy, for example. We could challenge the various departments, or the council could, to say, give us a metric. It could be a baby step. It doesn't have to be complete finish, but it's this year we will identify all the orphan lots. Next year we may work on an orphan lot. So I don't think that would be an unreasonable thing. I think our commission has the same challenge. We have to get a little more granular of what are we doing too. So I concur with what you guys are saying. Best efforts are hard to measure.
Mayor, is it a quarterly update that you get on this? Or
We get a quarterly update.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that you get a report basically from the city about how these metrics have been met so far?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's tracking, what's not tracking, what's stalled.
Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, just as an example, on a pollinator garden where you stop watering it in year 2, there's a metric. Because you could say, before this pollinator garden, we had so many gallons per summer on this piece of dirt. 2 years later, it's 0. That's a metric, and I think that's a lot of water, by the way. So it's just that extra nudge to say, throw me a bone here. Is it 2% of what? What was the starting point? And I don't think that's unreasonable, and I think folks can comply with that.
Something to tag on here, I know one of the biggest ones, I feel like one of the biggest elephants in the room, at least for me, is not establishing CO2 emission reductions. Not every community does it, but a decent amount in the Front Range have. So we went through ICLEI to do our greenhouse gas inventory, and they gave us a science-based target. So they look at our emissions, they look at where we should be, and ours is, I believe it's roughly 62% slash by 2030. But that's our science-based target. That's nothing adopted. So that could be a task because I think it comes very strong from a sustainability commission versus just me, who is a Denverite. So that could be another great project for the sustainability to do, is come up with some emissions reductions, these kind of hard
Recommendations.
Yeah, recommendations for city council to
So
consider.
From this conversation, some of our recommendations are all saying, can we get more specificity on achieving goals and objectives? Can we get some metrics? Please, I guess is what we're saying.
Okay.
That's excellent. I think it's a good point.
Yeah.
Anything
I have a bunch.
else?
I have a
You have a bunch?
Yeah, sorry.
I was like, Christine's being awfully quiet over there.
Let us have it, Christine. Come on.
Yes, I'm sorry, I think I have like 7. Under transportation, okay, I think the easiest one, we'll start with the easiest one. A lot of our new bike lanes aren't on Google Maps. They still show little dotted lines, or they're not dotted there at all. And users like me can't tell Google, put a bike lane here, because they say this can't be verified. So Google needs to get the files from local governments, in some special format. So that would make it easier to know where our bike lanes are and show that we're making good progress on adding bike lanes. Okay, that was the easiest one. I think it was our last meeting where we talked about looking at walking or biking paths along the city ditch right-of-ways.
I have a follow-up to that one too.
Is it possible to put that in a goal, or do we know if that's?
So I reached out to Stephanie, she's the main one on that, and I said that the Sustainability Commission was interested in how to ensure that that is like a sustainable, pedestrian-friendly space. And she said that the best way to interact with that project, there's an Englewood Engage page, which I'm going to share in a follow-up email after this. That goes to, I believe, her and the team. And then there's also an email directly for that project where folks can email their recommendations there as well.
Cool. Okay.
And she said a lot of the project is going to be done in the city of Littleton, so they're working really closely with them and the South Platte Renew group as well. But yeah, I'll share. That was the main contact she told me if people wanted to get involved.
So if we want more backing behind it to make sure it happens, could we suggest putting it into the strategic plan? Like install public walking and biking paths along city ditch right-of-ways, or investigate installing paths, something like that?
Like, do one.
Yes. I would definitely go the investigate route, just.
Yep.
So you said investigate, I'm so sorry.
Investigate installing public walking and biking paths along city ditch right-of-ways. Unless anyone knows if that is unfeasible.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I'm just curious, but
Yeah,
yeah,
me too.
I'd like to know the answer.
Too.
Yeah, most of the project. She said, so also in her email, she said the South Platte Renew group is also really interested in a recreational and historical aspect of the ditch. So it sounds like that could already be a part of it, but that's just my assumption from reading that one sentence.
That makes sense. And then Mike can go along and sprinkle biochar along there.
He'll be the guy out there.
And then Danna can plant native plants alongside. And we can put some solar lights. No, just kidding.
We can
Okay.
have some, I know we can have some metrics about how that grows, right?
Yep, exactly. Okay, then the last thing on transportation, I wonder if the city could consider a complete streets framework instead of our default of a street needs repaved, let's repave it. And then once every 5 or 10 years, we might do a plan to put in some bike lanes and then almost never do them. I'm sorry to be pessimistic. So we do have some good things going. But I wonder if we could more institutionalize consideration of bike lanes or just safer street design anytime that's being done, instead of, fighting block by block, etc. And I've just heard the term complete streets, and I think there's materials out there about how you design streets so that they're safer for pedestrians.
Does this bullet get what you were trying to say, just consideration of a complete street framework?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Is there what's it called? Sounding board, common sense check?
Consensus?
And yeah, is it feasible
Well,
or not?
can I jump in here?
Yeah.
I think council is on board with this. Whether or not, obviously the dollars are going to be the big part of this, but I think we want to move in this direction. We just don't want to put up stop signs and say that we're doing, we're calming the streets. No,
Right.
I think that we're looking at a
Mm-hmm.
more holistic view on how to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to have this conversation either in January as part of the retreat or February. So
Cool.
That'll be a perfect add-on.
Yes.
Kudos to the city. Floyd was completed here about a month ago, clearly marked bicycle lanes, some cement islands. There used to be a lot of cars shooting down Floyd. It's really nice. I mean, My neighbors have commented, they did a good job. The crosswalks, Cherokee and Floyd, are discernible. We still don't have the little magic button to push, but you know where you're supposed to walk, which was not there before. And I would think from both the auto and the bicyclist point of view, having that clear lane mark, like you're saying, if you could just connect that around the city, it'd be really nice, so.
Right.
Then Matthew just put a comment in the chat, and he said we need a calm by schools as well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He said,
Sorry, I just said we need to do traffic calming by the schools as well. And some of the things that could work is bumping out sidewalks to add space for more tree canopy. There's a lot of different things that could be done there, but I would love to see that happen around the elementary schools.
Has Director Rochelle taken on any of that in terms of just managing or developing a plan? I know we had mentioned something about Huron and being kind of a speedway down there.
Yeah, I'm not, it falls under his purview. So I would assume that he's gonna be leading discussion come January, February. But I know that this kind of plays with John Burborough's role too with community development, so. But no, I think, yeah, I think it would be more under Victor.
Matthew, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Did you want a recommendation in here for those schools, or was that a comment?
No, that ties into the complete street framework.
Okay.
So whether it's bike paths or more trees, yeah, traffic calming. Yep.
Okay.
But again, these should be like specific items under each bullet for transportation. So I like to see them all.
To put the school in there? And
Yeah, and just like, you know, what are we tackling first? Are we prioritizing the areas around schools first? Are we going to prioritize specific areas around the city?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Cool. You're getting a lot.
As prioritize.
prioritize areas around schools?
Yeah. That's all I had for transportation. I did a few under built environment. Any others on transportation? There's one on there, continue to pursue green building code, and I feel like that one is stagnant and is just kind of being a placeholder. And from what I can tell, maybe council discusses it once a year and decides it's too big, too ambitious, too expensive, something like that. So if that continues to be the case, I wonder if it could be rethought to be more narrow, like just one aspect of a green construction code. We start with that. And if that's the case, there is the International Green Construction Code, which is already written and adopted here and there. And I think that Director Martinez presented on that or mentioned it. But I would think you'd take one component out of that code and do that instead, like the construction and demolition waste component or something, instead of taking on all of it. Even though all of it needs done, it's so big and vague that almost nothing's happening with it. So I guess I would say, revise or rethink.
And I'll make this less notepad-y after.
Or say, perhaps narrow down to just construction waste and construction and demolition waste.
Is that what you feel, Christine, is the best place to start if we were going to do it?
Yeah, because there's energy in there, but we already have the energy code. There's water in there, but I feel like the city was doing a water conservation plan and we're looking at turf and stuff like that.
And that plan got
Well,
adopted
we passed that back in October, so.
And then there's the construction and demolition waste, and there's another one that I can't remember off the top of my head. So I think that would be one that's.
Well, yeah, I guess the point of my question there is, I think you're right. I think it's just too big of a leap for council to understand where to start.
Yeah.
So if we understand what the phases should be.
Yeah.
There should be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and just take small chunks of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that might be the best way to go.
Right.
And you could have metrics on that.
Right. Well, I guess I would start with investigating the construction and demolition waste.
No, that's good. That's good.
Maybe those are two separate things, even construction waste and demolition waste. I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
I can look too to make sure. I'll make a note.
Anything else, Christine?
Yeah, we were talking about parks, but and along those lines, I was thinking of playgrounds. And around other towns, you'll see playgrounds that have a lot of nature elements to them. And a lot that we have here are more like plasticky, bright colored structures. But I would love if the little kiddos got some more nature evoking components in their playgrounds. And they're like big boulders. They're probably fake boulders, but I don't think that matters. You know, big old fake tree stumps, fake trees to climb on, a little tree house up there. Something that makes them feel like they're out playing in the woods a little bit instead of just playing on a bunch of plastic. So I guess I would call it include nature components in playgrounds, something like that. In playground design?
There's a downside to that. It's something in my previous life, in that Colorado is not friendly to wood structures of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of why you see plastic a lot, is because the deterioration factor on wood is so high with the dryness and things.
Definitely.
And the temperature variance.
I think that's why I've seen fake ones.
Right.
Which I think still get at the idea of appreciating nature. Like the trees aren't actual wood trees, but they're concrete with bark carved into them. And tree stumps that are probably concrete with tree stumps carved into them, that sort of thing.
A good example of that in Denver, as Evans crosses the Platte River.
Yeah,
I think that's a real tree.
yeah.
And my guess is they probably are gonna take care of that tree as it decomposes. I mean, at some point, they'll probably cut it up, but it's pretty impressive. I mean, they cleaned it up. I think the kids probably loved climbing around on it. So somehow they figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty neat to look at. It's not a rock.
I wouldn't redo parks, that we've just redone, but just something for parks that might get redone in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the other one is about the low-income energy efficiency. And I was really impressed with Mel's efforts to do the outreach plan and look at where we are and what we can do. And when we were looking at that, it seemed like we could make our E3 program go a lot further than we do with the same budget. Because we learned that Arapahoe County has weatherization funds, and so we're almost duplicating what the county would provide anyway. And there's utility programs, the CARE program, et cetera. So I think we could stretch it by prioritizing either residents or uses that are not eligible for the county program or the utility program. As one idea.
Sorry, prioritize residents for the E3 program?
Prioritize residents or uses that are not eligible for the E3 program, that are not eligible for Arapahoe County weatherization or the utilities care program. It also,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm a little confused because for the E3 program, both of those folks would be eligible and it's specifically for low to mid income. Maybe I'm missing something. So
It seemed like for the E3 program, you have to be a homeowner, not a renter.
So that is tricky though, because that's not, Englewood doesn't have a say in that. That's how the funds, it's federal funds. And so it's, Nancy was telling me it's really hard because they have to follow their guidelines for that. So I think it has to be homeowner.
But I thought one of the things in the strategic plan was investigating general funds from Englewood for that program. And if so, then we could do what we want with them.
So using Englewood funds for for renters.
Mm-hmm. Or landlords, which would then benefit renters. Or anyone else who's ineligible for the county program. Sometimes I think new immigrants are ineligible. Or if you've gotten weatherization in the last X number of years, then you're ineligible. But it seems like the first line should be, if they can get county money, then make them take the county money before our Englewood money. It also, when you were digging up information about, was it Westminster that got help from Energy Outreach Colorado, where they would go house to house and sign them up and get it done. Whereas the current thing is, it seems like if you contact us, then we'll help you out. But a lot of low-income houses wouldn't have the time or knowledge to take that proactive step. So taking that same money, but maybe putting it to an entity that has expertise at the outreach and implementation side.
You know, I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this connects or not, but Mel suggested that I check out this Zoom meeting. Dr. Cog is exploring funding opportunities for communities along the Front Range. And the impression I got was there might be more money coming Front Range communities. Hopefully they will cooperate and it will target low-income folks. Could we put just a heads up in here to say, stay tuned for the Dr. Cog potential, because they're trying to come up with a consensus from the communities, I think in the direction that Christine is saying, is how can we get this where it'll do the most good, converting from a gas stove to electric stove. And when I heard the presentation, I thought, well, that's great if you're below a certain income, but what if you're on the edge or you're just above? So I'm not giving a real good explanation of it, but could Englewood participate in that effort? Stay tuned and look for opportunities in the direction that Christine is advocating. You probably know a lot more about it than I do.
I'm part of that steering group.
It sounded to me like there will be some money coming to the Front Range.
Well,
So maybe-
hopefully they have to apply for it, but hopefully.
They seemed optimistic, let's put it that way.
We always do when we
Yeah,
apply
I
for
know.
grants.
But
So I wonder if the goal would be something around investigate revisions to the E3 program to stretch the dollars further and reach more households with the existing budget or something, and that could encompass all of those ideas.
So I know we currently have a project in there to continuously improve the E3 program. So would this be a recommendation to kind of change that wording?
Yeah, one of them, let's see, says explore reducing wait list for residential E3 program by supplementing CDBG funds with general fund dollars to the extent allowed. So that's really just how can we add more budget to it? And let's see what the other ones, it's actually in two places, which was kind of weird. The E3 one, it should probably be in one place, not two, which would be a good recommendation.
See, to me, it's not
No,
only energy,
percent
but it's
of-
also affordable, under our goals for affordable.
And it is under the housing affordability
Yeah.
and community well-being too. So you kind of see E3 in different spots.
Percent of waitlisted residential E3 program participants removed from waitlist. Some of them could be removed by hand-holding their connection to Arapahoe County weatherization. Yeah, I guess revise the bullet to see how we can just make it go further. The other place, so it's under built environment and it's under energy. Under energy, the one says continue to provide grants to low and moderate income houses of up to 8,000 with a homeowner's match of 20% for conservation and energy efficiency upgrades as determined by an energy audit. And that one seemed to be only homeowners.
Okay. We have a few recommendations we're gonna make. Any other thoughts, insights, corrections? So I guess we will rely on Mel to polish this up and shoot it to council. Is everybody comfortable with that? Do I hear any disagreement on that?
We need a vote.
Do we need a vote?
Oh, I see Matthew's hand up.
Oh, Matthew?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, a couple times tonight, the idea of working with schools has come up, and I know the public schools are separate from the city. Is there anything we want to be more explicit about in this, and as far as like working with the schools and how we could get something like that going?
Could we do that?
The city does do a lot, some meetings with the schools. I know for the EV action plan, we had some focus groups with them. And I think quarterly, biannually, the city meets with the schools. So it's not like that's completely separate and there's no communication there, but.
Yeah, and there's 2 liaisons within city council, 2 school liaisons. I think it's Chelsea and Steve Ward.
I think so.
Yeah. And I have a good relationship with the schools, so I could always bring it to their attention if we want to make it part of this, or if I just want to do it outside of just this process. But.
Tracy, I see your hand up too.
I'll just echo that I love that. I would love to be a part of engaging the schools. So I think that would be a great way to get our mission out as a sustainability commission to the younger generation.
So are you seeing that more as like a hope for the Sustainability Commission to partner with schools? Or are you hoping, or kind of broader and more beyond that?
Well, starting with us, I think it would be, I mean, in terms of what we're trying to do just in our group, I mean, that's something that we can partner with the schools with. I mean, as Matthew said, you know, creating gardens there, it creates opportunities to just so much learning around sustainability.
Matthew said he would love to restore the garden at Englewood's Finest.
Well, the other aspect of that is kids at ELA, Leadership Academy, they're required to do volunteer work as part of their, I think they have to do 40 hours or 50 hours per year of volunteers. So they're always looking to partner with other organizations. And just thinking about Colorado's Finest, if you want to do something there, that could go towards ours as well. So.
So it seems like we're struggling with, there's an informal communication between the school system and the city. And it seems like we're struggling with, how do we bridge that? Or can we solidify that communication some way? Am I understanding the?
Well, I just don't think we've been very explicit about the type of relationship we want to have with the schools.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's been more, just more informal.
Okay. And would Mel be the right person if we said, please reach out to the school system with this idea? Would we turn to you and say, will you make that phone call or will you send that email?
And just to be sure, the connection between the schools and the Sustainability Commission.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So in other words,
Yeah.
as we're ginning up these ideas, we keep thinking about schools
Yeah.
and students. And at a minimum, can we let you know what we're thinking? And at a maximum, can we cooperate?
Mhm.
And is there something we can do to help each other? Make an overture to them, I guess. I don't know if we'd be a little more official than anything we've done in the past.
Yeah, I think I would absolutely be your kind of vessel between them.
Is the commission comfortable with asking Mel to reach out?
Do we have an idea what it is we'd like them to do with us, or is it just?
It sounded like
They were
Matthew
here.
was interested in that
Well,
garden
Tracy's got some
idea.
ideas, I know. For example.
I think it would be, in my mind, important to say, here's some ideas of what we could do.
Okay.
You know, that we could engage with.
It gets down to the definition of what's a program, and I want to comment on that as we get through the agenda. But yeah, when does it evolve from a communication, a concept, an idea to a program that we're actually going to sink our teeth into?
And are we willing to commit to that?
Yeah, and so I think that's where we are. I mean, we're stretching our boundaries, so to speak, which is good, but we're in uncharted waters. Like, who talks to the schools? You know, how do we knock on their door? And I would think Mel would be a good person to extend that first communication. And I would say, I picked Tracy, or I would recommend, Tracy's got a lot of interest in this area and has done some research. So I don't know, maybe you and Tracy could cooperate on your outreach message to the school system. And it's, let's explore possibilities. These are some ideas we've been floating around at our meetings and see if they.
Do we give every student a bag of biochar?
Mike, they need to hire you.
Yeah.
They need to give you some commission or something.
And don't most of our newer schools that have been rebuilt have solar on top of them? I thought I heard Charles Hay was putting solar on top. But if so, an idea could be building that into the curriculum of, say, 4th grade, where they learn about energy and sustainability and go up on the roof and check out the solar panels.
Are you saying, or is that an ask of
No,
Mrs.?
that's when we're discussing ideas with the school about potential programs, we could suggest ideas like that if they're not doing that already. Suggest the garden, the volunteer hours.
I think it's Westminster Schools just announced a program for high school students to learn about electricity, solar panels, so that as they're putting solar panels on the roof of the school, some students are actually using tools. I love that stuff. Like an apprenticeship program.
That's cool.
That'd be so cool if everyone
Yeah,
could do
isn't
something like that. So you graduate from high school and you get a job, or you move on to more education in that field.
I heard DPS was investigating a program like that at one of their high schools that would have an energy focus, where it would have some heat pumps. You could install some insulation and do all the hands-on work and come out ready for a job.
I don't think it hurts to ask. Get the communication going and see if they might have some ideas too that we could help them on. Okay, anything else? Very good. Thanks for all the input, you guys. A lot more than I thought we were I'm gonna get there at the beginning.
You guys do have to vote on it though. If this
Okay.
is the like kind of, I mean, obviously it'll get cleaned up like all the other memos do, but if this is the content that you guys all agree on.
So we need a motion to accept those recommendations.
Yes.
Do I hear a
Sorry,
motion?
I'm trying to put them all in one.
I motion to accept the recommendations.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Is there a second out there?
Second.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, Mel, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I know we're about 10 minutes over the hour, so I can do these next parts pretty fast. These were the follow-ups from last time. The good news is we went through a decent bit of them. So everyone asked what the current subscribers are for the sustainability newsletter. We're at like 562, so a pretty decent amount. Photos of biochar, we went over that. We went over that one. The one for the possibility, Christine had asked, is it possible for the walk and wheel plan to be updated? The response I got from that one was that it was updated and approved by City Council on April 4th, 2022, and the preference is to complete some of the projects before going through the time and effort to update another one. Hopefully that answers that. Then there were, someone asked for if the commission could do plant recommendations for the retention pond. I reached out to the lead for that in utilities. And she said if there are a list of plant recommendations that the commission would like, they can email her, which I'll do a follow-up for her email address as well. Folks can also, for recommendations like that, if you all wanted to do like an individual one of your own, that's fine. If you want to do a commission one, you all can vote on that one too, but I'll send that as a follow-up for that. We went over the city ditch. And then the final follow-up question I had from last one was Christina asked about the energy efficiency in Englewood's affordable housing units. I heard from Lindsay, who's their executive director at Innovative Housing Concepts. And she said our properties do utilize various energy efficiency mechanisms such as low flow toilets and shower heads. We only use LED bulbs, and they do have solar on one of the buildings, and they participate in a solar farm to reduce energy costs. Any questions from the follow-ups? I know I went a little fast, so apologies.
Good job.
Beautiful. Okay, some exciting city updates. So starting January 1, our At Your Door Hazardous Waste program is live. So we're no longer going to do the once a year events. That we're now just going to have that $20 copay program. This is such, in my opinion, such a better program. You get to get rid of a lot more hazardous waste for only $20 and electronics. And for an equity factor, it's just a lot better because if you're elderly or disabled, they can actually come to your door instead of you chugging a bunch of stuff to the service center, which you'd be surprised how many people have mercury. The next one is, so last night we had a sustainability budget enhancement request go in front of City Council that was approved. And we had two of these both are being funded through the plastic bag fee fund. So if you paid that 10 cents for a plastic bag, thank you, it's going to these. One is solar trash compactors and recycling at 5 different park locations. These are really awesome. Some other municipalities have these. They're going to be wrapped with some art, so it's going to have some nice placemaking. And this will actually bring recycling for the first time to these parks that currently never had them. And then also the one that I am the most excited about is through these funds, we're doing a 1-year contracted 20-hour position to launch the Green Business Program. We're splitting between Englewood and Sheridan for this one, so this person will be trained up through the state for free. It's a free program. We just needed that body to kind of enact it. And we have a deadline of February 1st to apply for that program. So that'll be a great new addition and program this year. And then the final one is the Polystyrene grant results. Unfortunately, we only had 3 people apply, but 3 is better than 0. But we did have a lot of great positive feedback from those that did apply. And then Sheridan also, because we launched the same thing in Sheridan, they had 3 businesses, and I definitely did a lot more outreach in Englewood. So that was the interesting piece. Anything there on the updates before we move forward?
Any questions?
Good job.
Good job.
All right, for February meeting ideas, I didn't know if anyone had anything they wanted to bring up. The only one that I was gonna suggest is the next sustainability quarterly newsletter goes out in February. So I was just gonna do similar to last time of just a draft for you all to review. It went very fast last time, so. But anything folks wanna bring up for next meeting or have on the agenda? Perfect. Well, if you have any ones that come to you at 2 in the morning, like all my ideas do, you can email me. And then we have public forum. I know we have-
So, anyone from the public want to comment?
Danna does.
Yes, Dana, go for it.
Go for it.
Hi, everyone, and thank
Hi,
you
Danna.
for everything you guys are doing. So I'm going to start with clarifying the issue with pruning Depot Park. So I don't know why this happened. It's contrary to the habitat-friendly maintenance guidelines that I've given parks for the park. And I want to just, since Mike, you called it a teachable moment, here's why it matters so much. The bird population in North America is down by 2.9 million breeding adults. This is a mass decline, similar to what we're experiencing with insect declines. So there are things we can do to reverse this. One, we need to provide food sources during the winter by leaving our plants that have seed heads and pruning in the spring. Two, plant shrubs and also plant the host plants that butterflies require to lay eggs, because their baby caterpillars are the main, most important food source that birds feed their young. So all of that we did at Depot. And I spent 1,000+ hours over the last 3 years. 40 to 50 volunteers gave their time to create this habitat. And we did it in this belief that we wanted to demonstrate what people can actually do to reverse some of the trends that are really alarming. So I don't know why it happened, but I'm here partly to ask, and this is something I've asked in email to parks and to some of you who are here and not gotten an answer. Can we get a commitment that going forward, Depot, the habitat at Depot will be left alone until spring? It should be pruned when the new growth begins, but it's really, it was really disappointing to drive by the park a few weeks ago and see this pruning. There's more I could say about maintenance, but I only have 3 minutes. So the other things I want to talk about, Depot was never meant to be an end in itself. The reason we did it was to demonstrate what's possible, to demonstrate that, we reduced water use the first year by 73%. We eliminated weekly mowing, which eliminated the use of diesel and carbon emissions and reduced work for parks. We, and created all this habitat and beautified the neighborhood. I've heard a lot from people there who love this and feel it improved their neighborhood. So the point of this project, in my mind, the reason I did it was to inspire more change. So I'd like to talk about some of the next steps, because I know you guys are allies in this, and I haven't seen really a whole lot of change, although Nathaniel, I'm thrilled to hear that you guys are talking about planting perennials in the flower beds. So number one, modify the weed ordinance to specify that weed refers only to plants on the Colorado noxious weed list, because currently any pollinator or bird habitat that people plant you can get a weed violation for. So it's a simple clarification that would have a big impact. 2, plant native perennials in the medians. We have a lot of medians in the city that really don't have anything planted there. We have a lot of turf that no one sets foot on. And of course, the municipal flower beds, which you're talking about doing that. And more than xeriscaping, trying to get people to embrace the term Colorado-scaping, because xeriscaping has negative connotations for a lot of people. They picture really boring, rocky landscapes with no color. And in fact, we have tons of beautiful, colorful Colorado native plants. And they are the ones that have the most benefit for pollinators. They co-evolved with the microbes in our soil, so they thrive here and are most resilient. Anyway, moving on with my list. I would like to see native plant recommendations, like a list of the top 15 or so that have the biggest bang for their buck in terms of being host plants and supporting the most wildlife. Have this list as part of the city's recommendations in their city code, whatever it is, when homeowners remodel and they're required to plant new plants. I'd like to see a recommendation list of native plants with keystone colorful plant species. Another one, and I know I'm running out of time, so I may not get to them all. Add native trees and native large shrubs to the city's Arbor Day selection. I'd be happy to provide the list to you guys that I provided to Parks if you want to pursue that. These are the trees, again, that are going to thrive here and be most resilient and require the least water. And so far, I don't think there are any natives on their list. Also, when you talked about school programs, when I was involved with Depot for 2 years, I did projects with the kids at Bishop Elementary who were in 5th grade during their biodiversity unit. That unit largely focuses on the rainforest in South America, and it was really cool to teach the kids about biodiversity here in Englewood and have them come. And there were different projects we did. They made the bug hotel. They planted 2 years ago on Earth Day, but like empower them to do something that will reverse the trends of biodiversity loss. So that might be something for you guys to pursue. I can get you in touch with the 5th grade teacher. And I would like to see some metrics around the water savings from the Garden in a Box program. A lot of cities track how much water the homeowner saved and how much acreage altogether the city is converting.
And I want to let you know you're definitely over, so if you can wrap up just a little bit, that would be great.
Sure. I'd be happy to suggest some plants for the retention pond that will be like the biggest bang for your buck with having really deep roots so they mitigate flooding. And I'll wrap it up. I'll save the rest for another time.
You can come next month.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Did you get all that?
I got it all. I'm a fast typer.
That's great, that's great. Okay, any questions? Is there a point where I could say something? I don't know where I am.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're the chair. You can
I'll be very brief in the interest of time. I have copies, and you all can steal a copy, but Englewood Sustainability Commission, powers and duties. I've had conversations with different people. There's still some confusion out there of why is the Sustainability Commission looking into this, not looking into that. I think it would behoove all of us to look at this page under powers and duties. And like I said, you can get electronically, or I have some hard copies here, but the last item says partner with city staff to develop and implement programs and services that increase citizen commitment to and responsibility in issues relating to sustainability. Like I said earlier, I think this commission is getting more involved with concrete projects, like the pollinator garden, like some of the ideas with the schools. I encourage you to look at this because I think we need to remind ourselves, why are we here? What is our mission? And there's so many great ideas, and every time somebody says the word sustainability, we're all like, squirrel, squirrel. We need to stay focused, and I think the challenge for us going forward is to decide what we're not gonna do, because there's a lot of great ideas. And then I think, how do we take some of these things to completion? Or how do we get metrics? How do we help people move along? So if we ever did a program with the schools, for example, which would be a great idea, to me, that would be a program. And that would have some granular objectives and metrics to it. So for those that are here, please take one of these home, but cogitate on this a little bit, because I think we're evolving, and I think it's great. But the challenge is for us to stay focused, and if we're going to do one thing in the next 24 months, whatever. Rick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like to recommend that we put this on the agenda for next meeting.
Okay.
I really do think that you're dead on, Mike, is that there are so many things, and it seems like every meeting we have, especially when we get another speaker, the speaker comes up with something, oh yeah, we're really onto that. And it's like, you can only do so many things. We're only so many people. And it goes back to the point of why we're here. Yep. The first objective on that list is really to be sort of a service to council to address what their needs are, what they want us to do, i.e., the tree ordinance issue. But beyond that, what are we? Who are we? And I would really love to see that on the agenda.
I think it's a conversation we should have. It's a good conversation because I think we're maturing. But yeah, I'd rather do one or two things right than 10 things half right. And it's hard to let go of some great ideas. Again, please ponder this before our next meeting. We'll get it on the agenda and let's have a conversation. If we were to get one thing done in the next 12 months, what would the metric be? What would we do? I think we're growing up, and that's a good thing. But everything we're saying to city council and staff about metrics and granular, I think we need to practice what we preach. So thank you. Any other thoughts on this?
Yeah.
There's some head nods in the right direction. So thank you. And like I said, maybe next month we can carry this conversation forward a little bit better.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just for the commission to remember that your guys' main goal is advisory. So like the city bringing you guys projects, like you all giving advice on the low income energy efficiency plan. Sure. That's exactly what. So I agree with Mike. If you guys get flooded with too many projects you want to do, it'll just get too difficult.
So, well, good. Any other thoughts or comments? If not, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Danna.
Cogitate, that's a good word. Look at you.
I don't know if it's really a word.